Have you ever wondered what makes bodies tick? Are you creating the sexual reality you desire and require? Would you like to know more about what else is possible with bodies? What if your fantasies are not as strange as you thought they were? What if you could learn to be kinder to your body and kinder to others' bodies? Would you like to create confidence in the bedroom and beyond? How has your sex life or lack of it affected other areas of your life? Have you lost your mojo and wondered where to find it? Everyone has the potency to be a sexual superhero. Get ready to listen, sense, and play with the sexualness that is you. Now, here is the host of The Pleasure Zone, Body Whisperer, Milica Jelenic.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to The Pleasure Zone. I'm your host, Milica Jelenic, and tonight we're getting a little naughty. Just a little naughty. I mean, we usually get a little naughty, but this is a little bit more naughty than usual. And I'm pretty excited about tonight's topic of when is spanking okay? And for those of you listening, no, this is not a program about disciplining your children. It's not about disciplining your animals. This is all about adult play, just so you know. So if you are listening and thinking this has got to be about how to discipline my children, you're wrong. This is actually about pleasure. So I totally invite all of you, for those of you who have the point of view that anything that could possibly have a level of intensity that we'll call pain could be wrong, I invite all of you to just really listen in on this show and drop all your baggage, at the airwaves, like right now, and we'll just start to look at this subject as a possibility for something that could actually bring you far more joy in your life, in your body, and what it can create for you in a way that is like the willingness to be sort of more of a sense of freedom with the willingness to choose anything and everything that could possibly bring you pleasure. So what is it about me that I choose to talk about this stuff all the time? For those of you who are totally new to this show, I am so thrilled that you're on tonight. Of all the fabulous topics to be joining me for the very first time, it's really cool that you're choosing When is Spanking Okay to be listening for the first time, and thank you for that. So for those of you who are new, I work with bodies. It's one of my things that I do. And what does that mean? So what do I do with bodies is I actually am trained in a somatic body work where I move bodies to actually create ease in bodies. And usually, and most of the time, when you have ease in your body, you can have far more pleasure. So essentially what I do is bring you to a place where you can actually receive more pleasure in your body and in your life in general. And what I love to do is actually watch people's bodies have pleasure. So maybe I'm a voyeur, I'm not sure. But when I see somebody like having ease of movement, whether it's through dancing or even just lifting something, or it's like I can see them having ease and that I might have even been part of facilitating that makes me so happy. I actually saw somebody at the grocery store today who was complaining about their back, and I know this person, they were doing work on my land, and I was like, why didn't you tell me? I would have worked on your back. And it actually makes me sad in a way. And this is just so all of you will come and see me, because I get really, really sad if you guys are in pain and you're not choosing to come and see me. So it would make me really happy if you come and see me. It would make the world happier. It would make my body happier. Come for a session, a treatment. How much fun can we have together? So what I love to do is offer facilitation for your body through movement and through energy work. And what does that look like? You never know. It looks different every time depending on the person. It could be from a hug for an hour to, realign your spine to God knows what. You might walk away having an energetic orgasm that lasts for weeks. I don't plan these things. They show up. And it also is about what you're willing to receive and be and what your expectations are that you're willing to let go of. So much for me about pleasure is the willingness to let go of our expectations, projections, judgments, separations, conclusions, computations, and decisions that we've created around what pleasure is or isn't, and how that can or cannot show up in our bodies. We have a lot of definitions about that. And so many of us we actually define stuff so much that we cut off our receiving. And when we do that, we actually cut off all these places in our bodies that could be receiving pleasure from things that we have now judged as wrong. So say you've judged spanking as wrong, but maybe your bottom would really like a little spank. Could be a little spank, could be a big spank. And if your bottom just got that little spank, it would be a lot happier. Don't know exactly for sure if this would show up, but let's just say your body would, might have some intensity in it. Maybe you've been having leg cramps or something, and then all of a sudden your body is like, what I would really like is a spank, but you're denying your body the spank. Then you all of a sudden get the spank and your legs feel great. Why? Well, the thing is, when you actually gift your body what it requires and desires, it feels joy, it has ease, it is like thank you and gratitude to you for giving it what it requires. And it can be random as a spank to, feeding, it Jello or sticking your feet in tea. I don't know what it is for you, but really start asking questions about what is it that your body requires and desires. And when you have no point of view about it and you just allow yourself to receive whatever, you may find that your body actually would like spanking. So, and it may not. It's a preference and it's a choice. And this is not to say everybody listening, you have to go get spanked today or there's something totally wrong with you. Or everybody out there today, if you're listening and you really love being spanked, there's something totally wrong with you. I'm not saying any of that. This topic is really about opening you up to what else is possible. And so in life, we've actually in the last century moved away from a lot of corporal punishment of children in general. And I'm grateful we don't have corporal punishment. When you look at the jails that were going on in even North America in the last 100 years and that are still going on around the world, where there is bizarre torture going on. For some people, who have that as a sexual arousal thing, it's a different story. It's just a personal preference for me that I personally would not want to be stuck in a jail cell. That's not my favorite idea. I'm not about confinement. So, but if it is and it turns you on, then cool, choose it. And the corporal punishment too really has to do with like beating people until they're in pain. And there are countries where that still happens all the time as a means of law enforcement. And there are places all over the world where that's actually occurring as a place of pleasure. So you can get where there's like a mix-up, right? The energy's kind of twisted there because we've got all this stuff where you've done something wrong and you could have really harmed people or, done something that was actually, we'll say wrong as in against the law, not as in like, what is morally correct or incorrect. That there's such a gray area. But we do know what the laws of our countries are, whether we agree with them or not. So if you get that, you've done something that would require, the police to come after you and enforce a law on you that would actually, have you end up being, say, beaten or something 100 years ago. Nowadays we don't have that. So, and if we do, it's hidden. So, I know we do, and I know it's hidden. So, wow, that's just going in all different places. But what I get is that there is this complete twist going on between the actual punishment part and the pleasure part. And then the twist where it goes to like, almost this place of people would like to receive it, but then does that make everything going on in the planet okay? So there is this twisted energy. For people who are conscious and they are aware of this energy, they're going to get that, yes, this is intriguing, and at the same time, there's this like, well, if it's not okay to, smack children, and if it's not okay to, harm people in third world countries and jails where people are just being tortured, if that's not okay, why is it okay in the bedroom? The difference is that it's a choice. So the people that are in jail are in there. They chose a lot of things that landed them in jail, so essentially they're in there. and that's a conversation for a whole other day, but you do get where it could bring up a whole bucket of stuff that will kind of twist your mind around. So I would like to destroy and uncreate everything that comes up around where corporal punishment is the same thing as BDSM, which is actually more the part where it's involved with sex. So let's just destroy and uncreate all the points of view that are entangled there, all the entanglements, everything that's actually creating that to stay in place, so that we can't actually receive any of this that would actually create pleasure, because we're so stuck in the stuff that's actually the punishment. So a punishment for something that we did that would actually be against the law or something. So everything that is, let's destroy and uncreate all that. Right, wrong, good, bad, POC, pot, all nine, shorts, boys, and beyond. So that little thing that I just said is actually from Access Consciousness. It's called the Clearing Statement. If you want to know about it, go to theclearingstatement.com and check it out. It's a bunch of stuff speaking to the energies to clear it, and there is going to be a lot coming up in this call. So I may just let a lot of energies come up, and then we'll clear a lot at the end, because I do get that for those of you in your life where, you know, you may have been hit as children, this could be still fun for you. This may actually be something that you enjoy, and it may actually bring up a lot of trauma. So part of it is to really have no point of view about it. It doesn't have to be your only source of pleasure, but it also doesn't have to be a spot where you never receive it. So what I would like to explore a lot more of is the play part of this. It's actually truly not something that I've explored in this embodiment, pretty much not at all. And so as a topic, I did do research on this, and there was a lot of curiosity that showed up for me, that there are actually levels of play with spanking, from something that's, just like this, little spank on the bum, which I've had, and I do like that little spank on the bum. Randomly, my husband will spank my bum as I'm walking by him, and I love bums, so I will hold them and grab them and spank them. And if that is something that is fun and playful, choose it, right? So if you start to take that, so somebody could take that and do that energy in a playful way, where it's kind of an invitation to fun. They could take that same spank and throw a different energy into it, and it turns into something malicious. And again, some people enjoy the malicious, and that's just a point of view that they have, and that's just their choice. I don't desire maliciousness done to my body, but I do like the playfulness. And so, again, it's not a right or a wrong. I'm just saying where I'm coming from. So there is, like I was saying, there's this whole spectrum that's going on out there when it comes to spanking, and there are like different levels of it. There are levels where it's like you can be, I don't know, I'll name the levels in my own ways, because I feel like there's different terms done by different people. So it's kind of like going from a white belt spanker to a 5th degree black belt spanker. And I'm going to use belts because I do martial arts, but I also like the idea of the belt and the spank, and they kind of just go together. So say a white belt spanker is kind of new to the spanking arena, and the white belt spanker would be somebody who kind of gets the pats on the bum like I get randomly, right? The occasional spank on the bum. And also, my body has this tendency when I'm really like enjoying being in the middle of like rapturous, fun copulation, like sometimes my hand just starts spanking my partner's bum. It has like a mind of its own. So luckily I've not had anybody yell at me yet, because I don't even sometimes realize I'm doing it till after I've done it, and I'm like, whoa, I just spanked bum, what's going on there? And yeah, so my husband just sometimes gives me the what the heck look, and I'm like, so it's the hand has a mind of its own. So we just talked about the white belt level spanking, and I'm actually going to take you guys to break, and we're going to progress through the different belt levels of spanking when we come back from these messages on the Pleasure Zone.
Many of us have created a lot of limitations around sex and what we are willing to choose. Would you be willing to explore what has already been introduced as sexual practices on this planet? What else is possible beyond what we have already seen, heard, or thought of? What if now is the time for a totally different sexual revolution? Taking the taboo out of all aspects of sex, sexuality, and copulation. By tuning into the Pleasure Zone radio show with body whisperer Milica Jelenic, you'll receive tools, inspiration, and a foundation to allow yourself to receive more in your sex life, and quite possibly other areas of your life as well. Listen for The Pleasure Zone with Milica every Monday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, 7 p.m. Central Time, 6 p.m. Mountain Time, and 5 p.m. Pacific Time on a2zen.fm.
What if there's nothing wrong with you? What if you're far greater than you've ever given yourself credit for? What if it's time to know the gift and the contribution you are to the world and to like yourself a lot more? Hi, my name is Dane here. 13 years ago, I started to truly ask questions. Actually, I started to be the question, and everything changed for me. Asking questions opens doors to infinite possibilities. And it's not about finding the answer. It's about being the question. Always. What I'm inviting you to step into is something that Einstein, Marie Curie, Newton, Da Vinci, Gandhi, Picasso, and Aristotle all knew to be true. What if no question is too big or too small? What if anything is possible for you? What if together we could create a kinder, gentler, happier world? Is now the time? Go to beingyouclass.com and sign up for a free video series, My Gift to You. beingyouclass.com. What if you, truly being you, are the gift and change this world requires? beingyouclass.com.
This is The Pleasure Zone with body whisperer Milica Jelenic. To participate in the program today, please call us in the U.S. Call 815-880-8255-TALK or Canada 613-800-8736. Or you can Skype us at a2zen.fm. You can also make the choice to ask for comment by email by sending to Milica at milicajelenic.com. Now, back to the program.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Pleasure Zone. I'm your host, Milica Jelenic, and tonight the topic is, when is spanking okay? Before we go into break, I was kind of breaking it down for you. According to my research, there are actually different levels of spanking. So instead of using other people's levels of spanking, I've created my own levels of spanking based on martial arts belts, because I kind of like the idea of using the belt. So I was talking about the white level belt spanking, which is more like having the occasional pat on the bottom. So we're going to move it up to the yellow belt. And I don't want to offend any martial artists out there who have a different belt ranking system. I actually had a completely different belt ranking system, which would only give us 3 belts, which would be from very much an innocent kind of spanking to full-on hardcore spanking. So I thought I'd break it down to more of the North American belt system. So we're going to have a few levels here. So the yellow belt of spanking would be more like where and I'm going to have to re-listen to this because I'm actually in this spot, so I'm going to re-listen to this, maybe write an article about it. So the yellow belt spanking would be where we kind of bring it up a notch. Maybe you're in, having more routine spanking where, you can actually see not like a huge amount of marking on the body, but you're going to notice it more, and there may be more of a ritualized thing going on with it. So some of the things you might want to consider when you're kind of moving it up is that you might want to look at a few things like, for example, with the body, you might want to start to be like kind and gentle with the body when you are doing the spanking. So one of the things I would suggest is, if you're going to pat a bottom, you might also want to rub it a little bit after so that you're not going to leave super bad marks or anything like that. So then you might want to also, as the person spanking, I would really encourage you to, try not to hit them on the back because that would really hurt. Hitting on the spine can actually cause a lot of damage to the body. So being like somebody who's good with targets. So I would even suggest, and this is in no literature I've read so far, but I would suggest that you actually get a little practice before you go hitting a person. so that you're actually spanking the bottom. So, whether it is get out that pillow so that you're going to hit the fluffy part, like you're going to want to hit the bum. You're not going to want to hit any part that's going to actually get massively bruised or broken. It's the point of the yellow belt spanking is not necessarily to bruise somebody. It's more about a playful nature where you're going to have a little bit more, say, and just like a little bit more of it rather than just like the occasional pat on. You're going to have more of it involved in your sexual playtime. So they should also be, I would say, like, be really kind with it, and whatever you do, also take off anything that could lead, like if you have jewelry on or if you have, say, watches, men or women, if you have bracelets, like if you have something on that's metal, and at this yellow belt spanking level, you may actually want to take off all of that. So you're just using your hand, and it's just something that's going to be like a soft, and it's going to be like a spank. Can you guys hear that? It's kind of like that. There's nothing like, the person might go like, ooh, but it may not, it won't have them crying. It'll just have them kind of like, ooh, like a tweak, right? So that's kind of like a yellow belt spanking level. And then an orange belt spanking level is where we're kind of going to ramp it up a little bit, where you may actually start like having some redness on the bum, and it's going to be something for people who are a little more advanced in the spanking. Again, I wouldn't suggest like jumping from the spank on the bottom to like tying people up right away and then spanking them like a master, because you, for one, probably don't have the skill of doing it in a way that's not going to harm their body, like physically breaking their back or something. That would really suck. And I know it sounds kind of crazy, but you may also want to do, and there's a hashtag in the chat room, things I learned from Milica. Thank you. The things that I'm aware of. Yeah, please be kind to the bodies when you are spanking them, even when you are at that higher, 5th degree black belt style spanking where you've got everything tied up and you're going for like a pro. Maybe have some experience in the meantime. It's kind of like you wouldn't step into a ring with a boxer when you've had no previous training. This is like hardcore stuff, and you're going to want some training. Your body also needs to build up to that. So, if it's something you are choosing, just like any kind of training, like this stuff actually takes stamina. Like this higher level stuff will actually, sometimes you'll be in a position for a long while. So you're going to want your body to be able to have the stamina to hold positions so that you're going to actually be able to, and I'm getting like seriously in the background. Yes, seriously. Like your body, if you're in positions that are, say, bent over for long periods of time and your back isn't used to that, your legs aren't used to it, something you're going to want to ease your body into. And also, like, if you are doing chains and being chained up, you're going to want to practice that for a while so that you aren't you're not like wrecking your muscles doing this. So it is something to build up to, just like you would if you were doing a marathon race. So we're only at orange belt spanking right now. We'll talk about some of that higher level echelon stuff after. It's what I'm aware of that's actually required as a kindness to bodies for BDSM. Again, nothing I found in research, however, is something I'm aware of. So, orange belt spanking, we're going to get back to that, is, again, it's like everything gets added a little bit more and a little bit more. So you may find that you're even like adding fetish clothing to this, where you're kind of wearing like, kind of like in martial arts, when you actually start getting into like around orange level, you get your gi. So this would be kind of like where you actually go get maybe the outfit that would allow you to spank easier. It could be one of those like bottomless pants where when you go to get spanked, it's already like open and ready to spank. So that's something to consider, is like adding the outfit around orange level spanking, and then also possibly adding, just like you would in martial arts, you start to add some weapons. So you might start looking into that, possibly like that, like a paddle or a whip or something like that. So riding crops maybe. So adding that next level of that. So now we're going to move on to the green belt spanking. And this is where you're kind of like, yeah, I'm a spanker. This is something that I'm into. I'm into receiving spanking, and I'm probably going to choose spanking a lot more. Just like martial arts, by the time you're kind of a green belt, you're kind of like, yeah, I'm probably going to be around for a while. So I've come this far. I'm training. I've done some training. I think I like this. You may stay at green belt forever, because a lot of people do that even with martial arts, and you may stay at green belt spanking level too for a while, and that's cool. And you may never actually progress past that, because very few people, just like in martial arts, very few people actually get to that black belt level. And just like in spanking, very few people are going to actually go to that hardcore BDSM, tying up with chains and like all kinds of stuff like that, right? So we have these like, progressions of things. So when we go to like this green belt spanking level, you may actually start to find that you are kind of more intrigued. You might be more interested in actually, you may actually even start to have the curiosity of like, what is it like to receive a spank? But even at that level, you may never want to be the one spanked, because you may just be the person who's really dominant and chooses to never be spanked. So if you are the one being spanked, though, at the green belt level, again, you may actually be able to withstand it longer and have more focus. And it may, even at this level, you may start to be getting more and more pleasure with it. So people can achieve orgasm through spanking. And so it's, there's been documented stuff on that where people actually do receive orgasm through that. Some people actually require that kind of intensity to actually have anything in their body react. So it's neither a rightness or a wrongness. And truly, does it even matter, even at all, 1 iota of what creates that in a person? If they're aware that that works for them, it works for them. I'm not here to like psychologically analyze people to, well, this happened in your childhood, because it doesn't really matter if the people participating are enjoying it. Keep choosing it if it works for you. So again, so we went from the green belt spanking, and we're going to move into the blue belt spank level. And this is where you've got like a whole level of skill, a whole level of stamina. You might be going out and investing in some things. Like you might be going out and investing. You can get these things that are like tables, like special spanking tools that you can actually bend over. You might be getting different, again, more sophisticated outfits. You might be getting cushions that you can lie on. And at this level, you might actually choose to do something really crazy, which I did find on a site, which I thought was a lot of fun, so I'm going to bring it up, is you might choose to get vibrating Benoit balls and either have them in your anus or have them in your vagina while you're being spanked, because that can actually create a lot more pleasure with the pain. So at this level, when you're getting that kind of more intensified spanking, to kind of bring in a different element, you might want to bring in those Benoit balls. You can also bring in other things that could, create stimulation too. You can get different vibrators that could just be inserted. You start getting super creative at this like green belt level. You might be choosing to have anal vibrators. You might be choosing to have other things going on. Would actually create a whole other dynamic with this. So it really depends on if you're looking for the pleasure and the pain, or just the pain. So things to consider. You might actually at this level too be like going, oh, I'm going to try out some nipple clamps while I'm at it, or something else. Like you might actually start adding in more things, because around the green, belt level, you're getting kind of serious, but this blue belt level, you're actually getting more serious, and you're probably going to find that there are more things that you're more interested in bringing into the equation. So you're going to find, there's all kinds of things you can find online. There's a phenomenal number of things. I'm actually going to be interviewing at some time in the future some people who are creators of sex toys, and they're award winners, and they have a lot of things like anal plugs and neat like cock rings and stuff like that, and they've actually won awards for them. So that kind of you might want to start to add those toys. And I will remember the name of that company, perfectfit.com. So if you want to find them, perfectfit.com, they have a lot of neat, toys. They're mostly geared towards the gay community. So something for any of you who are in the gay community looking for neat stuff, look on perfectfit.com. They actually have really great products with really great quality materials. So, and they have a lot of play things like stuff for sort of playful bondage kind of things. So, you can add a lot more to this. So I'm going to actually head to break before I start talking about the brown belt level. Now you can only imagine where that goes with this. And the black belt level of spanking when we come back from this break.
Many of us have created a lot of limitations around sex and what we are willing to choose. Would you be willing to explore what has already been introduced as sexual practices on this planet? What else is possible beyond what we have already seen, heard, or thought of? What if now is the time for a totally different sexual revolution? Taking the taboo out of all aspects of sex, sexuality, and copulation. By tuning into the Pleasure Zone radio show with body whisperer Milica Jelenic, you'll receive tools, inspiration, and a foundation to allow yourself to receive more in your sex life, and quite possibly other areas of your life as well. Listen for The Pleasure Zone with Milica every Monday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, 7 p.m. Central Time, 6 p.m. Mountain Time, and 5 p.m. Pacific Time on a2zen.fm.
What would you say if I told you that you could change your life in only 1 hour and all while lying down relaxing? Thousands of people all over the world have. What am I talking about? It's called Access Consciousness, the bars. The bars is an energetic body process that contains 32 different points on your head that when run assist you in releasing decisions about any area of your life that you have made solid and as a result cannot change. The bars is the first class in Access Consciousness, a dynamic set of tools and information designed to transform any area of your life. When you have a bars session, the worst that can happen is you feel like you had a fantastic massage. The best thing that can happen is your whole life could change. Go to accessconsciousness.com today to find a facilitator to schedule a private session or to find a bars class in your area. Are you willing to give yourself an hour to change your life?
This is the Pleasure Zone with body whisperer Milica Jelenic. To participate in the program today, please call us in the U.S. Call 815-880-8255-TALK or Canada 613-800-8736. Or you can Skype us at a2zen.fm. You can also make the choice to ask for comment by email by sending to Milica at milicajelenic.com. Now, back to the program.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Pleasure Zone. I'm Milica Jelenic, and tonight my topic is, when is spanking okay? In the last two segments, we've been talking about different levels of spanking, from the very small, like tap on the bum, and right now we're at that level, which I'm referring to as the blue belt level of spanking. We kind of just talked about that, where it's more about bringing in crops and tools, spanking benches, spanking horses, different apparatus to like assist in this. You might actually find that you've kind of really into it, and it becomes like you're kind of part of your regular sexual practice, right? So, this is where you're actually willing to like invest in being spanked and spanking. And some people will actually start going to dominatrixes at this point to be spanked, or requiring it and requesting it. Sometimes at this level you can actually like be getting orgasms from it. And also, I was mentioning before we went to break, adding different things like vibrators to the mix, or Benoit balls, whatever is fun for you. So totally, there's so many fun things that you can play with. And So the brown level spanking, now I got to come up with this because it's got to be something really good, right? Because we're talking bums, we're talking brown, there's spanking involved, but I'm actually not going down that road that I just planted in all your brains. I'm not actually going there today. I may not ever go there today. And even though I was asked by a friend and producer, what's the one thing you'll never talk about? I was like, I probably won't talk about pooping. That's probably not going to be my favorite topic, to talk about pleasure and poop. So, yeah, I just said it just for fun. But again, I won't be going there as a topic tonight. We're just talking about spanking. So back to the spanking and the brown level. Awesome. So now we've got this, you can imagine, okay, so now at this level, you've got a room in your house, you've got a spanking bench. You may actually be renting a place because you don't want anybody in your family to know that you've got a spanking bench. So you may actually have a spot that you've dedicated to spanking. So you've got your spanking bench, you could have your own dungeon at this point. You know, brown level spankers are going to have accoutrements. They're going to have things that are going to be the invitation to be spanked, for them to be spanked. So they may actually have, you know, their own benches in their house. They're going to have their own switches, martinets. They're going to have like different things that are like special gloves. They may even spank you with brushes, paddles. You know, I think as a kid when growing up, here's a sideline that'll just take you out of that erotic zone for 1 second. My dad used to whittle a willow branch, and that was just like a threat. If we did anything, we were just showing the whip. And you know, people will use those too. They're a little harsher, but so yes, you could create your own, right? Where I'm going with that is you could create your own. You probably have something in your kitchen you could use, you know, like a spoon or something like that. So it depends. And still, really, I encourage you at this place to not be hitting anybody in the back, to be spanking on the bottom. We're not at that level where it's gone to total sadomasochism. We're still like at a place where it's kind of a mix. And the total sadomasochism is purely for pain, and it's, you know, inflicting wounds on people, and that's more like that black belt level. And there may be some bruising and there may be some, you know, aftermath going on, but please, unless you have some kind of agreement with the person, keep it to their bottom. Most people who are desiring to be spanked is being either spanked on their breasts or spanked on their bums or spanked on their crotches. So there are women who like desire being spanked on their vulva, their labia, and there are men who desire being spanked on their penises and women who desire being spanked on their breasts. But generally it's to the very obvious genitals and like sexually reproductive organs in the bum, not so much the spine or say the legs or arms where, you know, you could actually be hurting some bones. So keep it to the meaty areas where it's kind of much easier on the body to receive it. Again, that's more of the brown level. You might actually be adding not just the bum, but you might be going to spanking breasts, and you might be spanking genitals, and you know, at that place, you may actually really enjoy all of that spanking. And I just have this awareness that I might not be a white level spanker, because as I'm saying this, I'm like, that actually sounds kind of fun. But all right, that's just me. And who knew? I went from white belt to brown belt in one show. How's it getting any better than that? Woohoo! But I don't think I'm black belt yet, so we're all good. But there is this kind of intrigue there for me, and I'm revealing this on the air to all of you right now. How's it get any better than that? So there's this, there's this sort of willingness to like be more vulnerable, to be exposed, to have different parts of your body, you know, having the spank. So, you know, you can spank genitals again. It's the same way you would spank a bottom. You could spank it with a switch or with a riding crop or something. And there actually are ones that are specifically for that. And you can get them at the sex shop. You can, you know, riding crops, you can pretty much get a tack shop for horses if you really wanted to. Depends on how hardcore you are. And again, you can make your own. So what works for you? And maybe too with it. There's also like still a level of kindness with it. Like you might spank, it might get red, and you might just, rub it, touch it, feel it up, but there's still a level of pleasure, and it could be just the intensity is ramped up at this brown belt level. So moving along, we'd go to the black belt level, which to me would include more bondage, where you'd actually be more tied up. Safe words would be included. There would be bruises, possibly scarring, possibly bleeding. Like people may actually be hit to the point of bleeding. So this is, again, this is just a choice, and people choose this because it works for them. And if you had no point of view about it, would you be able to receive way more on the planet instead of judging people for their choices or judging yourself for your choice, judging people for wanting to spank and judging people for being spanked? If you had no point of view about it, how much more use could you have in your life? And I get you're not probably obsessed by it. You're probably not thinking about it 24/7. And if you are, then it's probably some level of pleasure for you, or it's been some level of trauma for you. So it's not about really making any of this super significant. It's about really seeing like where, if you had no point of view about something, would you be willing to receive more in your life? So if you have a point of view about something and you're like, that is so wrong, then you put up a wall. Every judgment creates a wall. So, and the judgment could be, that's the only way to get pleasure and everybody should be spanked. Well, then you also have a wall because you actually can't receive anything beyond that because that's the only way. So everywhere that you're putting up walls and judgments to any of this, will you destroy and uncreate all that? Right? Wrong, good, bad, pot, all nine shorts, boys, and beyonds. And everywhere where you've also put yourself in the position of, I would never let somebody spank me, I'd only spank. Even for a second, if you consider what would it be like to receive. So if it may actually be a contribution to you, doesn't mean you have to choose it, just would you be willing to receive a spank? Cool, and would you be willing to spank? And everything that brought up and let down, will you destroy and uncreate all that times a godzillion? And so, again, through my research, I did find some other interesting things. And, there are different levels of, desire. And I've named them according to my point of view. And there is some stuff to, consider, after the fact. So, you might spank a person, it could vary for state, and you go hardcore on them. You go to, brown belt, black belt level, you could have somebody who's brand new at this walk away really confused, discombobulated, feeling a little hurt, or not just because they got spanked, but emotionally feeling wrecked in some way. So if you are trying to create this as a kindness and for play and fun, please connect with the person, so that they know that you actually genuinely care about them. It's just your thing to spank, or it's just your thing to be spanked, and that, we create this weirdness in relationships. Even with sex, we create so much weirdness, and throwing a little bit of spanking into the mix, even if it's a little or if it's a lot, can create a whole world of weird for people. So you don't need to go to jail for something. So please be clear with people. Hi, I like to, I am that kind of weird that I'd be like, hi, yes, I'd like to be spanked. Or, hi, yes, I would like to spank you. So the more clear you can be and the more you have a deal and deliver up front, the less likelihood is that you're going to go to jail for something that you thoroughly enjoyed and that you thought they thoroughly enjoyed too, but then they walked away all messed up because God knows you maybe didn't give them a phone call after and they're like, what happened? I'm so discombobulated. So I get that, it could create a lot of havoc, and so I'm not trying to create havoc, so please have conversations about this. It's really key to have conversations about it. If you want to use my belt level method to describe it to people, go for it. Just be like, I'm a white level spanker, this is white level for me, and I'm a brown belt level spanker, this is what I'm willing to receive. Have them listen to my show if you like, whatever works for you. So I'm going to head off to break, and when we come back, I'm going to give you guys a little bit more information, because I've always got a little bit more information when we come back on the Pleasure Zone from this break.
Many of us have created a lot of limitations around sex and what we are willing to choose. Would you be willing to explore what has already been introduced as sexual practices on this planet? What else is possible beyond what we have already seen, heard, or thought of? What if now is the time for a totally different sexual revolution? Taking the taboo out of all aspects of sex, sexuality, and copulation. By tuning into the Pleasure Zone radio show with body whisperer Milica Jelenic, you'll receive tools, inspiration, and a foundation to allow yourself to receive more in your sex life, and quite possibly other areas of your life as well. Listen for The Pleasure Zone with Milica every Monday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, 7 p.m. Central Time, 6 p.m. Mountain Time, and 5 p.m. Pacific Time on a2zen.fm.
What if you really do change molecules by your interaction with them? What if the change you've been looking for is right before your eyes? What if the uncomfortableness that comes with difference could be fun? What if the closed-minded people of the world no longer determined our world? What if gratitude trumps judgment every time? What if your kindness healed the world? What if the earth is asking for your help? And what if you had the resources to give it? This is your invitation to step into something that Einstein, Marie Curie, Picasso, Da Vinci, Shakespeare, Aristotle all knew to be true. Hi, my name is Dane here. 13 years ago I started to truly ask questions. Actually, I started to be the question, and everything changed for me. What if there are no dumb questions? Or any question too large? What if you being you are the gift and the change this world requires? Is now the time? For more questions to create a change in your world, sign up for a free video series at beingyouclass.com. My gift to you, beingyouclass.com.
This is The Pleasure Zone with body whisperer Milica Jelenic. To participate in the program today, please call us in the U.S. Call 815-880-8255-TALK. Or Canada, 613-800-8736. Or you can Skype us at a2zen.fm. You can also make the choice to ask for comment by email by sending to Milica at milicajelenic.com. Now, back to the program.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Pleasure Zone. I'm your host, Milica Jelenic, and today we've been talking about when is spanking okay. So spanking is in the category of BDSM, although there is just like erotic spanking. So I kind of talked about different levels of it, from like, what do I call it, white belt level to black belt level. White belt level would be more like erotic spanking, and black belt level would be more like BDSM. So, which is the more sadomasochistic stuff. So when you are in any of these levels, if it's something very new to you, please communicate with your partner about what is okay or what is okay for you. Because, you know, you can really walk away from these things if you haven't had a conversation about it in a way that you can feel really messed up. So you need to really like have some just time with each other. So try not to like walk right out of the room after you've spanked somebody until they're, you know, and they're tearing up and they're crying or something. Like, go back and ask what their emotional needs are, what his physical needs are. Maybe they need you to take the restraints off of them. Maybe they require you to give them a kiss where you spank them. Maybe they require a hug. Maybe they require food. So there's so many things. And to have them too, like if you're going to do this, even be a little conscious about it and ask your body what it requires or when the spanking is enough. And then to say, you know, whatever your safe word is if you have that, or whatever works, right? So a lot of things to consider as an aftercare sort of approach to it as well. Because it's not just about the act itself. It's really about the whole, the way of being with each other, really. And also, you know, part of it too, like I was kind of going somewhere with that, like the way of being with each other. But I do get that there can be a lack of conversation around this. So that is something that I truly encourage you to do, is have conversation on that. And also, for those of you who are kind of curious and not sure where you stand on this, there is a really cool site out there called the BDSMtest.org. And you can actually find out on that what scale you are in terms of BDSM. So I'm going to put that in the chat room right now for those of you who are interested, and you can check that out. and have fun figuring out where you land on that scale. It's like 8 pages long with lots of questions on it. So it's very thorough. And it can, in a lot of ways, give you a kind of understanding of where you're at in terms of what you're willing to receive and not receive, and just where you're at right now. And again, that test can change anytime, so take it as often as you like. It's a free test. So the part that I wanted to talk about, the aftercare part, I think really communicating with each other, communicating with the bodies of what they desire and require, and being willing to be playful is like so key. So, and not all, black belt level spankers are going to be just spanking you, so that at that kind of level there may be other sort of things that are involved. They may actually have a dungeon in their house, a sex dungeon. They may have things, right? So have these conversations, because you don't know necessarily what you're walking into, even if could even be somebody you've been with a long time and they have this like hidden secret from you. So let them explore that. If you're really willing to have open conversation with people, they will be willing to tell you even their deepest, darkest secrets that they've been hiding in their sub-basement of their basement, in their room that they don't tell anybody about. That room where when you go to buy a house and you're like, what? There's a room here? What are these chains hanging from the wall? Oh my, didn't even know there was a room here. So that room, I actually had friends who had an apartment, and I swear there was a hidden room in it. And when they moved in, I was like, what's behind that door? And they're like, oh my God, we didn't know there was a door there. That was funny. But we were pretty sure there was a sex dungeon there. That was back in the day. Anyway, so I really want to thank all of you guys for coming on and listening tonight. And if you have any questions, if you're curious, if you'd like to talk about things, I love when I get letters from you guys. It's so great. It just keeps me going. It keeps me intrigued. It keeps me always looking for more information to share with you. And it's such a pleasure to host the Pleasure Zone, so I'm so grateful for all of you listeners. And if you'd like time with me, if you'd like a session with me, feel free to contact me. You can find me on my website at www.milicajelenic.com. That's milicajelenic.com. You can book me online. You can Facebook friend me, and chances are I will friend you back. Sometimes I wait a bit until I figure out whether you're like just trying to send me naked pictures, which is cool too, but I get a lot of naked pictures. So if you're going to send one, send me some really great ones so that I can actually, make this like great collage I'm planning on creating with all these beautiful naked photos I've been getting. One day I will probably like sell it as wallpaper, and everybody will feel included, and you won't even know who you are, where you are, because there's going to be so many of them on that wallpaper. It's going to be great. I have a friend that's making it with me. So I really want to thank you guys. And also, for those of you who are brand new to the show, it's every Monday night at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And if you haven't listened to any of my past shows, you can feel free to find them in the archives of azen.fm. You'll find it under the Pleasure Zone, and you can find it also in iTunes as well. And if there is a topic that I haven't covered in the last 100 shows, because I'm almost coming up to my 2-year anniversary. So if there's a topic I haven't covered in the last 2 years that you would like me to look at or cover, please feel free to let me know. I'm always interested in new topics. And it was funny that after all this time, I hadn't actually had a show dedicated to just spanking. So how fun is that? You never know what's going to show up, right? And I think that's all for tonight, guys. I'm really, really grateful for all of you, and I so look forward to hearing from you and having you live on with me next week on the Pleasure Zone. Have an awesome evening.
Thank you for choosing to listen to The Pleasure Zone. Milica Jelenic will return next Monday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, 7 p.m. Central, 6 p.m. Mountain, and 5 p.m. Pacific on a2zen.fm. We hope you'll join us. Until then, have the best week of your life by choosing to be turned on and tuned in to your body.